Yo, what up y'all, IntraVenus here, back with another episode of Spawn Collecting, my ongoing series where I document every single Spawn figure that I collect, and some other stuff. Today I've got 4 new figures for you, as well as a special bonus if you stick around till the end. So without any more waiting and talking, let's get into the first action figure. Come on. Alright, first off we have a doozy. This could be considered a sort of a grail, definitely a highly sought after action figure. These are really starting to go up in price. This is the original Spawn, but it's not just the regular Spawn. This is the blue variant with his worm head variant head. It's like a double variant. And this particular figure and design and packaging is going for upwards of $50, $60, $70+ now. So if you have one of these, you're in luck. You can see here in the close-ups that this is quite an awesome version of the original Spawn action figure from 1994. Instead of normally black, he's got blue on him. And there's actually something else going on here. The worm head has some of his skull viewable here. And I don't think my other worm head variant has some of the skull viewable. I'm gonna have to check. Okay, yeah, it does. I just never noticed that the worm head had some of the skull viewable there. There is also the hamburger head, I guess they call hamburger head version of Spawn with the stitches. This is the one with the worms and maggots going on. There's also chunks of his skull viewable. It's so sick. He comes with this normal piece of wood with a railroad spike sticking through it, which I always thought was kind of a funny weapon for Spawn, especially with all his powers. And then his attachable, detachable skull accents with the chain there at his cowl. This is really awesome, y'all, and I'm so happy to add it to my collection. On the back you'll see the original version of Spawn, though it does show him with an all-black wooden weapon, and my original Spawns, all of them, have a wood colored with a yellow spike, just like in this. So it's interesting that on the back they showed him with the black version. I don't know if they made one with him and the black together. Also Tremor, we got Medieval Spawn, Clown, Violator, Overkill, Spawnmobile Violator, Monster Rig, and Spawn Alley. 1994, back when it was still Todd Toys. This one is just, it's a really great addition, and overall, there were somewhere around 7 to 9 variants of the original Spawn figure. And I have almost all of them. I think I'm missing 1 or 2. What do y'all think about this one? I think it's pretty sick. Let's go ahead and move on to the next figure. Yes, if we move a little further down the timeline to 1996, they re-released the original Spawn in a few variants, and one of them is the Necroplasm variant, I believe this is called, and he's all glowing green. There's actually a few different Spawn figures throughout the entire timeline of all the series that come in a Necroplasm green style body. This is really awesome, and you'll notice that he does have a black wooden weapon, but the spike is still yellow there. So as far as what was featured on the back of the last figure we saw, I don't know if they ever made one with an entirely black weapon as far as the wood with the railroad spike. Anyhow, this one is to me just as awesome as the blue hamburger head. I mean the blue maggot. I think there's a blue hamburger head too. That's one of the ones I need. But, you know, it's almost, I think this one's almost cooler, but it's not worth quite as much. However, it's still very awesome. you'll see in the close-ups, the green is transparent. You can see through him. If you were to shine some lights through the character, you would definitely be able to see them. He's got red eyes, his detachable accent as usual, the same stuff that came with the last one. He's just got a black cape and he's green, and he's got a black weapon, which is pretty awesome. Also, this is when it was McFarlane Toys instead of Todd Toys, and on this re-release you'll see all the series 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And Mutant Spawn is still listed as Chameleon Spawn there on the back. This is a really awesome addition to my collection. However, I've had this one for quite a while, I just haven't talked about it yet. You can see up here that there's an empty spot, and that's where it's been hanging the whole time. The glare might have caught you off guard. So, what do you think about this? Let's go on to the next spawn. Wow. Yo. Alright, for the next action figure we have here, this is what I might consider a holy grail for my collection, my Spawn collection. Personally, this is a Toys R Us exclusive from the Color Tops side series. Once again, I had to go ahead and talk to Spawn Hunter to find out a little more information, and he told me that this came in a set of multiple figures, but there were only a few that were Spawn figures. There was also supposedly a Walking Dead figure. There were different characters from different lines, and this is number 11 in the Color Tops releases, and this is Spawn Rebirth with his burnt Spawn style here. He's maskless. This action figure is really well made, and it's got some great detail going on here. He's got some good weapons. This is not an action figure actually though, because this guy doesn't look like he has any moving parts. Actually, his elbows move. I think that's all that moves. It doesn't look like there's a crease on his shoulders. The neck is covered with the chain here, so I'm not sure if maybe his head can move too. But he does come with 2 guns, so that kind of makes him like an action figure. He's got a cool stand that's kind of different from the newer stands. The newer stands are just like a flat piece of plastic. This is kind of a pedestal in a box that is... It can be hung on the wall, but I don't want to. Not unless I provide extra support from the bottom, because this little tab is pretty flimsy. And these things do go for quite a pretty penny. And I was saying that this came in a series, and there were a few Spawn. Included was a Spawn that you'll see... Actually, he's not viewable in the back. I was thinking he was, but they only show different views of this Spawn. But if you look it up, and I'll show you soon in an episode, there is a version where he's got just a mask on, and I think he might have a different type of pistol. Maybe. And then there's also a Commando Spawn that's in a more Spawn reminiscent packaging. It doesn't look like these with the Color Tops logo. These Color Tops figures from Toys R Us came out in 2016. We're talking about getting towards the end of the true Toys R Us stores. I know now they're sort of bringing them back. They were added to like Macy's or something at some point, but honestly, I think it was Spawn Hunter that said this actually brought him back to Toys R Us. It was this action figure that brought him back. So that is pretty sick. I mean, this is a really good one. I like it. It's worth some money. That's not why I get them, but it is worth some money. And it says there were 9 figures, yet this is number 11, and the one with the mask is number 10. So that seems a little confusing, but I don't know. This is from McFarlane Toys. It looks like it's not a McFarlane Toys thing because of the color tops. I had to triple check. I thought this was some kind of bootleg action figure when I was first finding it and seeing it online. I never saw these in person, personally. What do y'all think of Spawn Rebirth? The Toys R Us exclusive. I'm really happy to have this one. It's a good one. let's go ahead and move on to the next figure. Once again, I've saved the largest for last, aside from the bonus. But this time, it's also the newest. I like to do either the newest and the largest, instead it's both this time. And I have featured Mandarin Spawn on this channel before, but Mandarin Spawn has been released many times. I'm starting to think he's one of the most recreated Spawn variants. And I thought at first when I was seeing Mandarin Spawn that they weren't going to make a lot of them, just because he seems so different. But they make a lot, and they made a lot rather, and they still are putting out variants. Though this came out in 2021, I believe. I have a GameStop sticker over the date. I didn't even realize that sticker was there. I think it was 2021. This is, if I'm not mistaken, when they released these new versions of Mandarin Spawn, the original and the Deluxe Designer Edition. They were kind of like the first of the new Spawn figures. Like, they kind of stopped making them for a while, from what I remember. Somewhere around the time these Mandarin Spawn figures came out is when they started getting back into it. These and the Mortal Kombat Spawns. I don't know which came first, or if they came around the same time. However, this is the Designer Edition, and we haven't featured this larger deluxe version on the channel before. The Designer Edition has a cooler and different colored paint variant. He has a different mask and shield, bonus weapons. It also comes with the bonus mini poster inside. Deluxe Mandarin Spawn is a really good one to have. You know, it was at this time that I picked up my first new Spawn figures. I've had this one for a while in the collection too. And I wasn't originally going to do that. I was only going to collect the Spawn figures from my childhood, because I stopped collecting and playing with them, and I didn't really play with them, but I looked at them and stuff, stopped getting them in like 96, 97. And it wasn't until I went back as an adult and I was like, I'm going to collect all the ones that I had and didn't have from all the way back then. And then when I started getting into it more and more, it's like, well, I got to keep getting them. They're really cool, and there's so many freaking variants, and it's addicting, and I like hanging them up, and well, whatever. So that's when I got this baby and the original. I was like springing for both. There is one more variant of the original. It's a blue Mandarin Spawn, and I don't have that one yet. But there are a lot of Mandarin Spawns. On the back you'll see it's just Mandarin Spawn. It's a picture of the action figure. On the sides, nothing special. Cool design box though. No clipping collects for any of these, because the old ones that I showed you at first, they didn't have clipping collects then. And then, well, they stopped doing them by 2016, 2021. So I really like this action figure though, and it's good. It's quality. It's awesome. I even recently opened some minifigures, and there was a mini Mandarin Spawn in there. Y'all should check that out. The page puncher is actually really good. Well, I mean, let's go ahead and get to the end here, right? Yeah. But I said that if you stick around till the end, and this is something I'm doing lately, and I'll continue to do, I've always got a little bonus at the end. It might not be an action figure. The first one wasn't even Spawn, but it was an action figure. The rest of them are probably going to be Spawn things, but not necessarily action figures. And right here, I have got something interesting. And right here, we have something interesting. If you've been tuning into the channel, I actually hear a Spawn figure being delivered right now. It's a really sick one too, but that's for another episode. They gotta have the music so loud. Whew, he slammed that door. Alright, now I told you that I would have something at the end of the episode, a special something, and that's what I'm doing lately. This time I have a special set of Spawn Power Cards. This is a Spawn trading card game that you can actually play against each other. It's kind of like Pokemon or Magic the Gathering. I have actually featured a deck and a package recently that I opened in other episodes. You should check it out. But I went ahead and snagged this one too around that same time. And what we have here is the Power Primer. It's for the serious player. And it contains a starter deck, 3 booster packs, a rule book, and a power book. 95 Spawn power cards are inside. On the back, we have the same blurb that seems to be on the back of all of these cards. It says, Spawn Power Cards is a collectible card game in which participants assemble a deck that represents his or her personalized collection of heroes, villains, and enhancements. Players pit their decks against one another, simulating a scenario of superpower combat. Spawn Powered Cards consist of 190 common, popular, rare, and ultra-rare cards. And the inclusion of enhancement cards makes each game endlessly diverse and ultimately exciting. And that sounds pretty fun. And I wish I had some friends to play this with. I'm tempted to open this, but at the same time, maybe I'll just hold on to it sealed for a while since nobody's watching the videos where I opened the other ones, and if I don't have anybody to play with yet, I technically don't have a reason to open them yet, except for to check out all the cool cards. These cards are really cool. A lot of cool pictures and little blurbs, information, you know, not a whole lot of information, but some. Little storyline stuff, pictures, cool stuff, you know. Anyhow, this is the end of the episode, and I really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you like this, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already, because I'm doing this about once a week. You could pretty much say that every weekend, roughly, you're going to get a new Spawn collecting video, aside from all the other video game stuff that I do. If you're not into the video games, well, tune in for the Spawn. If you're not into the Spawn, well, tune into the video games. Either way, I'll catch you on the next episode. Alright? Peace out.
Childhood, we were all there together, and in denial would play like it was forever. And in the tall woods, we'd stay out of the weather like it was all good. Every day we made it for pleasure. We were saying whatever came to our minds, plain and simple like a tetherball reaching the sky. We were taking new heights on the swing while it was making us fly. Beat the king of the hill and everything will be fine. The thrill